And Michele McFadden is joining us to talk about the things that really excites them around IT. From New Jersey, Michele, how are you doing today?
Hey, very good, Alf. Thanks for having me.
And Hema, down in San Jose, how are you?
Hi, Alf. Hi, everyone.
Great. Michele, other than your governor, there's a lot of things in the world that I can imagine excites you. Especially around IT.
Yeah.
Why don't you share some of that with us? What is it that gets you going?
So no comments on the governor. But when it comes to IT, I think it's really about the possibilities of what technology and how it can change our lives. So for example, augmented reality. How can we take technology and really use it to improve our lives, both at work and at home?
How does that translate into a business case where, for example, I call the help desk on the phone, like an old guy, and say, my password reset didn't really work. And that's how I feel connected. Augmented reality, how would that help me?
So imagine if we were all set up so that, today what would we do? You would tell me, well, where did you go to reset that password? And maybe I'd have to do a remote control of your desktop. But imagine if I could actually see you. And just like we're doing now, I could see you what you're doing, and I could actually show you exactly what I'm doing, and could show you exactly how to reset that, for example. Or if the system itself, here's an example of augmented reality. Not that I want to put IT people out of business, but why shouldn't the user be able to reset their own password? And why shouldn't the system enable that for them?
It's not only putting out a business, it's that you give them a purpose to have add more value, not worrying about these routine desktop.
Absolutely. Why, we always wind up talking about, we have all these great processes in ITSM, and we wind up talking about incident because that's where we spend so much time. But wouldn't it be great if customers could self-heal through the system, and we can spend more time in IT on being problem solvers, on of taking innovation and bringing it into the environment, of really being an insight team that's always looking and scouring what's going on, where people are self-healing. How could we be looking at that and use analytics to figure out, hey, wait a second, if 20,000 people are having to do that, maybe we need to come up with a solution for that. I think I agree. It's not really about, it's about changing the role of IT to be much more proactive, I think.
Hema, how are you doing down there? This is the second time you're in the zoo, and thanks for coming back. What excites you about IT right now?
Frankly, I think it's in line with what Michele said, but from a different perspective. This is more from a social collaboration point of view. So what excites me right now is the extent to which you can use social collaboration for everything, in fact. As in, just yesterday, I downloaded this app called, it's from this company called Zobni. It's called Smarter, where you can actually, if someone sends you an email, they have a Outlook app, they have a Gmail app, and they have a Yahoo app. So you can actually see that person's latest Twitter feed, Facebook feed, as well as what they've posted on LinkedIn or their profile on LinkedIn. So it basically means that it gives you a lot of information about that particular user. If I can go back to your password reset example, it'll also give us all the information you need from multiple sites, right? When was does Alf fail to reset his password every 3 months? And was it a history? Do we need to do some stuff?
Not a user error, but an ALF error, yes.
It's an ALF error.
Exactly. So I think the power of social media and social collaboration is what really excites me, and the extent to which people are innovating, that's really amazing.
There's a lot of other things happening out there that I really wanted to get you guys' opinion on. For example, sensors. There are thousands upon thousands of these sensors everywhere, from the cameras catching you speeding through a red light to measuring the temperature in your house and adjusting it to that. But there is no technology today to measure that really. Is that the next step? Is that how the world's going to be run a little bit? That you both have touched on the idea of things going to be automated. Like we don't really need interaction, which is fine. But is things going to be so smart that they're going to tell me when things need to be fixed? Michelle?
Well, I mean, I think we have the history in IT, right, of preventive maintenance and, being able to automate that, but it's still very manual automation, I would say. Put it on a schedule every 6 months. But yeah, I think for IT systems to be able to imagine IT systems telling me, hey, I'm ready to be serviced, and then using, for example, augmented reality to actually get to that system and have it tell you exactly what's wrong with it and being able to see that projected, for example, on the floor or on the wall or on the screen in front of you. I mean, if those kinds of things, if we can remove all the barriers, then I think we can get to the heart, and I actually think the human collaboration part, I actually believe we could be spending more time doing that because we would be spending less time on these repetitive tasks.
So the more automation we have, the more human interaction we can achieve.
That should be the goal, right? More time with our families, more time with our colleagues, more time having meaningful conversations with people.
Emma?
I agree, especially.
Do you really want to talk to me this often?
No, it's not about eliminating. It's only about eliminating manual errors, right? It's about eliminating all the, like Michelle said, repetitive things, but also eliminating unintelligent things that we do in the process of achieving something important. So that's what automation will help us do. Typically, automation is seen as something that will eliminate human interaction in the process, but that's not true. It's just giving us quality time to do something more intelligent and go back to the word innovate again. Each of us can do something interesting and not repetitive things.
What is that? What is that value add? What is that interesting part that IT can do that they are hindered from doing today because of the routine issues? So are you, Michelle?
I think bringing innovation into the organization. I mean, that's really where IT should be leading. And when we talk to some of our customers, they even have an initiative where IT is being asked to be innovative. But if they're spending all the time firefighting, how can they do that? So, bringing in more collaborative systems, bringing in the type of technology that actually helps people do their jobs better. And I really think that's where they should be spending their time. But the only way to do that is to automate.
Emma?
I feel, IT can use it more to do proactive things, right? Instead of, if I keep going back to your password reset example, they should have been notified and,
It was just one time, by the way. It was just one time I had a problem with the password.
I'll drive the point home as.
Yeah, good. Sorry.
So, you mentioned that multiple devices of yours had, you access it through multiple devices, your email, and your password needed to be reset in multiple places, which took you to IT, which got you to make 6 calls to IT. So I look at it as one proactive step from IT, right? Syncing up all these devices. We are talking about bring your own device. We're talking about multiple other initiatives. So, it's not just, hello, how can I help you today, and reset the password. It's also about asking you proactively, do you have other devices which need to be synced up? Do you have, it could potentially cause you a problem. So, doing those 3 things that could, help, prevent you from calling IT multiple times. That's what I look at from a, I think proactive interactions is what will help.
I want to know something from you, Michelle. Beyond what excites you, you're also in charge of one of our most important aspects in the product line, and that is around small business, medium-sized businesses product line. You come from that side of the corner, if nothing else.
I do, although now I work with the enterprise too.
And everybody knows that the enterprise needs to mature, and they're not doing that very well. So let's not bore our viewers with that harangue.
I'm not going to use the M word.
What is it that small businesses and medium-sized businesses do better than enterprises?
Yeah, I think and this is something I've been thinking about a lot because I've worked with mid-market for a long time, and now I'm working with the enterprise, and I expected things to be so different, and some things are different, so many things are the same. But what I think the mid-market orgs do is, because they don't have the resources, they just try to focus on a few things and doing them really well. And they try to have as few barriers and silos as possible.
What are those things that they do better?
I actually think they are forced, and it's funny, even coming from a smaller company, Numara, to a bigger company like BMC,
yeah.
I noticed how dependent Numara was on automation. We automated so many more things than BMC did because we had to, because we just had so few resources.
Yeah.
And so we had, yes, we had process, but a lot less people type process, a lot less meetings, but a lot more automation. And I think that's something that they do well. And again, I also think it's the doing a few things well.
Hema, you, let's pretend, have been predominantly on the enterprise side.
Yeah.
There always seems to be this thing, this gap between what does small business and medium-sized business, because what Michele said was very interesting, having sold a lot of, for example, mobile technologies and so on to these companies, is always that, oh, you need to have a certain size before you can succeed. Well, really, if you only have 50 people and you have one guy doing it all, don't you really need automation now? So I always thought, in line with what Michele said, you need automation, especially with smaller companies. With large companies, you talk about case management and change management and these slightly more sophisticated issues. Are they adopting that? Is that happening?
Yes, they are, but it's taken them a long time. These large corporations are today where they are because of going up that maturity curve. So they started where the medium-sized customers started, at least in thought process, and they moved up the maturity curve to get to a place where they believe in automating stuff. These are the customers typically who have like 1.5 years to implement incident management and configuration management. So these are customers who take long periods of time to have one process up and running. So they believe in having, going the depth route rather than the width route. Right? So if you talk to a medium-sized customer and after 1 year, they probably would have incident, problem, and change. But if you talk to an enterprise customer after a year, they would say, oh, we have incident management and we're still wondering whether we should go the CMDB way or the problem way or the change way. But then once they get the hang of it, they start automating and they get other processes on board quicker.
Michele, before you jump in and back her up, because I know you would, I want to take it a little bit different. I want to take this into slightly the future, and we talked about this earlier. Sensors, okay? They're everywhere. They're in my house. They're down on the street. They're everywhere. Who's going to manage them? Are we going to be a company that manages this? Because they say within 2-3 years, these sensors are going to tell me what I need to do when I do it.
I don't know if we're getting into the sensor management business, but I think we should be using the information that's culled from them to help people make better decisions at every level. So low level, we should be pulling information, whether it's from sensors, from RFID, from within a system like a service management system, a system within a, say, BPPM, within a network monitoring system, and have the system have enough intelligence that can actually bring that right up to the decision making. Not as some report you get once a month, but helping you actually at that moment of whatever you're working on have that information be more right in front of your face.
So make us more context aware about what the
It's all about context awareness. Yeah, and I know, obviously, I'm not going to get into the privacy issues. People are concerned about that. They're right to be concerned about it. But if we look at it as how can we use technology to make our lives better, I think it's really about taking that information, whatever information we are gathering, based on whatever the rules are for that company or that organization, and how can we use it to make help them make better decisions.
Emma, what do you think about sensors? You just learned to drive, and I'm sharing this with our entire audience here, and good on you for doing that, by the way. You are soon going to be monitored in a car for everything, your heart rate, your stress level,
I have a job one.
Tell me about that. Why do you wear that? What is the thing with that? And explain it to the reader what it is, and then we're going
So
to.
a job one basically is a pedometer that measures the number of steps I take per day. But the most interesting part is it also measures my sleep. So once I sync it with my phone, it tells me how many hours I slept, what was the amount of deep sleep, light sleep, how many minutes I took to fall asleep, how many times I woke up. So it gives me an indication of all these things. And so the current sensor that's driving my life is the idle alert and the job one. So every time I sit down for 30 minutes without moving, it basically makes me move. It vibrates and I go out for a walk.
Right, that sounds good.
Yeah, it is. It's actually very interesting. So that's the latest sensor in my life.
Have you improved your lifestyle because of it?
Yes, it was
How?
actually. It syncs up with the app where I measure my calories intake. So it syncs up with Endomondo, which measures how much time I spent biking or running over the weekend. It also syncs up with MyFitnessPal. So this is one device which basically syncs up with 3 other apps and gives me a summary by the end of the day. So this is the analytics in my life. There's a lot of data, and job one is the analytics, which summarizes and lets me know what I'm doing right, what can be improved, as well as basically what can be improved.
How many hours a night do you sleep in?
It's getting more personal.
It depends. If it's weekend, then it's a long time. If it's weekdays, then job one tells me it's not enough.
I have spoken to quite a few guys who wear this stuff, and it's interesting how weekends make you sleep longer, obviously. Even though you don't actually sleep longer, you sleep better.
Yeah.
Do you have one of these, Michelle?
I don't, but I think I need to get one. I like the idea of something getting me up from my desk. But it might mean I have to hang up on some of these calls I'm on all the time. But I like it.
How would technology like this, which I find quite interesting, fit into the corporate world? And by the way, before you answer that, Anthony Orr and Simon King last week said that, well, it would vibrate just like Hema said, it'll get you off your tushy.
Right.
And Anthony Orr walked off. Can this help me? I mean, so the sleep is, as you said, very private. This is terrifying to me. I find all this data being collected about me, things that I don't even want to know about myself, being now gathered. It's going to happen despite my Luddite attitude. But we need to learn how to make sense of it. And you are 2 of the smartest women I have had in the zoo. Please help me understand how context, beyond just seeing each other and instant messaging, the deeper foundation of it, how will that make our work world better? So with you, Michelle.
Well, I know I would love to have one of those that would remind me to eat my lunch and where I'm supposed to go next and what I'm supposed to do next.
Yeah.
I get so many pop-ups on my screen and I don't even look anymore. So if I had technology that helped me do that, I think I would actually be healthier and probably have because I don't know about you, but I spend time thinking about what's the next thing I have to do, what is the thing that I'm missing. And then you're not present in the moment. And the most important thing is always to be present in the moment. So I think if technology can help us and the context can help us and give us the little bit of extra information we need to be present in the moment and be successful at what we're doing in the task right now, I just think we'd be much more productive and less stressed.
Mindfulness, something that comes from your corner of the world. Do you incorporate that in your daily work beyond technology, or is this something that technology is bringing you back to? Hema.
It's for me? Okay.
Yes, sorry.
So, can you repeat that? Sorry, I missed that.
You're from the land of mindfulness, Hema.
the whole idea of mindfulness, which comes from the Buddhist tradition, and not to, in any shape or form label anyone, but coming from India, I would love your input on that thing that Westerners are now taking and run with. Mindfulness, okay, so to make a slight point here, mindfulness is a huge part of technology today. We are, just like Michelle said, we are overwhelmed with the data, overwhelmed with the availabilities that is, no pun intended, available to us. How do you deal with that? How do we deal with it? Well, they found this thing, mindfulness, which is a small component of Buddhism in general. It comes down to just finding where you are now in this present. There's far more profound implications there, but we stay with it. Yes?
Actually, technology is driving us away from that state, right? What it's called as the power of now. It drives us away. Earlier, we could sit for, 1.5 hour sessions. Now, every 15 minutes, you become fidgety because you want to check your email. You want to check, I call it the 140 characters attention span because of Twitter. Nothing beyond that processes because you want to, message everything in 140 characters, right? So it's exactly opposite of what yoga or meditation or anything talks about. You can't sit still, and I think it's common across all age groups, and it's right now the technology era where everything is driven by Facebook and Twitter and devices like these which won't let you stay still. So I'm not sure if too much of technology also is good. In fact, at BMC San Jose office right now, we have yoga classes twice a week, and the whole intention is to get us to stay still. And the first thing she asks us to do is turn off our phones and forget about our emails for 1 hour.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Don't you think that is a little bit? It's ironic that technology is supposed to help us is actually hurting us. If that what you said is the case, where we become fidgety, where we're not here. And I don't want to sound like a guy from the turn of the century, the other century, when the damn people start driving cars and the mail coming like every day. But it's a little bit like that. Are we just not catching up with the evolution, or is this actually a problem? Michelle?
I think because technology moves so fast, we really haven't figured out how to use it yet. And I really think that's what this century, and maybe this millennium, but certainly this century is going to be about, which is we have all this great technology, it's moving faster than we can keep up with. How can we actually think about how we can really use it to best improve everyone's lives? I mean, everyone's, not just those of us in IT or at BMC. Everyone's lives in the world. It should be used for good. And I think if we can, I'd like to be a part of that, and I think if we can make that happen and make that a focus, I think good things can happen. Because I don't think you can stop progress. I don't believe in it. I think that it will continue, but I think if we can shape it to where it's really about helping people and not just about, just the next whiz-bang gadget.
Hema, in your back countries, there is a huge disparity between the have and have-nots. Do you think technology will bring India, for example, just using one country, use many other countries, bring the gap between the ups and the downs closer? Because I think that's an interesting comment that Michelle had about this technology needs to be more ubiquitous. It needs to be for everybody. People in in the Arab world where I come from need to have more availability to it. But is it really going to help close the gap?
I think it will definitely help. In fact, that's what telecom has already done in India. There are more cell phones than toilets in India right now, in rural India. So yeah, that's a reality. And also, they're starting with this new program called as the Unique Identification Program in India, where they're planning to give every Indian, something similar to what SSN is in the US. So that is going to primarily store all your fingerprints in one place, and they can go to a bank, and based on their fingerprints, they can get a loan. They can, actually use that to apply for a passport. So which means that, people don't have to live in, live without loans. You can get a vehicle loan, you can get a home loan, you can get a lot of things. So I think technology is definitely going to make life better, and there's no doubt about that.
Well, it's been wonderful to have you here. I wish we could continue this discussion for hours, and we will do it at another time. Thank you again for coming. Thank you again for sharing your input. It was wonderful. And for all of you out there, take care. Be safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.